It is a very interesting time to be a real estate investor right now, but one asset class that has a very bold future is the wellness asset class. Even though capital markets are absolutely insane right now, and it's one of the hardest times to raise capital in our lifetimes if you're under 50 years old, this asset class will continue to grow.
I'm Megha Epstein, a real estate developer, a wife, and a mother of 4. I've completed 10 different commercial development projects ranging in size from 10 million to 100 million. On this channel, I tell you all about the journey and the lessons I've learned along the way.
The amount of wealth that will be generated in the next few decades from people that enter the wellness asset class is going to be enormous. There are so many different takes on this, including spas, glamping, hotels, condos, getaway retreats that all center around wellness. According to the Global Wellness Institute, which is the most authoritative source on wellness, the market reached $584 billion in 2024. Now that's an increase of 18% up from 2023 at $465 billion. That's billions of dollars. From 2019 to 2024, it grew at a compound growth rate of about 19.5%. So that was doubling in size during that period. That completely outpaced overall global construction growth, which was only 5%. Compounded average growth rate through 2029 is actually projected at reaching over $1 trillion, essentially doubling again in the next 5 years. Anyone starting a career in commercial real estate should carve out a niche and include this subcategory of wellness. Not only because it's super fun and relaxing, but also because it's going to be very profitable. I personally have spent a lot of time doing research at spas around the world, and I'm so happy that this field is actually merging with commercial real estate. So after developing 3 other short-term rental flexible buildings, we really incorporated wellness into our new brand called The Modernist, making sure to include sauna, cold plunge, pickleball, really nice pool area, very extensive gyms that make you really happy to want to work out, coffee lounge and bar, EV chargers, really emphasizing walkability, making it easy to bring pets and integrating your family and lifestyle into the built environment. And that's something that I think is a complement to this wellness trend, and we've really tried to incorporate into our new brand. I think that our generations are changing, and in the 50s and 60s, it was a lot of heavy drinking and smoking, and now the thing is to not drink and exercise and be healthy. And I think it's a lot easier to incorporate into your lifestyle if it's in your building. If you can wake up every morning and do a sauna and a cold plunge and work out, it kind of sets you up for success during the day and makes you feel better overall in your life. You're going to have a much more positive outlook. You're going to feel a lot better. So I think incorporating it into the commercial spaces that I'm developing is something I'm very passionate about, because I do think it gives people a better lifestyle, especially at a price point that a lot can access. We're not just talking about people buying condos at the Four Seasons that can afford a $4 million plus condo. These are, at price points where people want to be able to live and stay. I also am thinking with building these for the modern traveler that wants to spend more time, is possibly working in one of our destination cities, or even visiting or staying for longer periods. And you don't want to give up on your health routine when you're on the road. And we really try to make it easy for people to kind of keep in, grocery delivery service so they can have healthy foods. They're not eating at a hotel bar. They're able to use a really nice gym and keep in all of their programs so that they don't just become totally unhealthy on the road. The wellness asset class has also evolved. A spa in a hotel used to be a total afterthought, and now it can be an absolute focal point to a property. I'm super excited. I'm going to the Soho Farmhouse in London in June, and it's been on my list of top places to go in the world for a long time, because it not only incorporates wellness, like all of the features I had already mentioned, but also regenerative farming, farm to table, organic agriculture. And that kind of experience is making it worth it for me to travel all the way across the world just to go and have a wellness stay. I honestly think people are realizing that waking up hungover is not a pro-survival way to succeed in life. And I think it's been proven that even through COVID, the younger generations are not going out and socializing and partying as much. And I think that our real estate is typically 20 years behind a lifestyle trend. And that is why I'm trying to be on the forefront of this trend, because how we build things and live needs to accommodate the future generations. And I just think that people are getting smarter and a lot more into longevity and realizing the consequences of, partying or not taking care of yourself early on and what that can do for you when you're older. I have built a sauna and cold plunge at my house. I also swim regularly in our pool. My children and I kayak on the lake. We get a lot of time outside. I really make sure to not have phones on in the evening and make sure we're spending time outside in natural light, not getting the red light at night. We don't watch television frequently. Walking 10,000 steps a day is something I've put in, and that's really given me a lot more relaxation. It's caused me to sleep better. I'm spending time with my family when we're doing that, and it's just like an overall great free thing to do. And I think one aspect of this that's so funny is like the more financially successful I've gotten, the more I end up just enjoying things that are free, or very affordable, like yoga and walking and reading. And so I think that's something that's really important to give to as many people, in the world that we can, because it can be so accessible if it's learned. Obviously, if you're not passionate about wellness, it's not going to communicate into what you're doing. But whatever part of the real estate cycle that you're focused on, do research, go and realize what is best and what's important and what you get the most out of. And I always look at, putting a sauna and a cold plunge in a large commercial project is relatively inexpensive and takes a very little amount of space, but it gives people a really high bang for your buck. I'm not going to be able to offer a sprawling, day spa in my commercial condo buildings. I want to keep them at an accessible price point. And so you really have to do your own research and see what also isn't being offered. I didn't see really great wellness components entered into properties unless it was in the very, very 5-star range. And that's why I built something where I think it's more accessible. For example, I think that there'll be a lot more of things that are offered in med spas or doctors type offices in a more spa-like environment in the future, because they really do go hand in hand. And so, maybe there's a version of other therapies being offered in an environment that's a lot more relaxing than like a typical doctor's office, or going to your more like chiropractic office for alternative therapies. So I think these trends will continue to emerge, but if you're in this space, do your own research and realize what's not being offered. There's so many young entrepreneurs in Nashville that have opened. I actually was friends with a brilliant woman who started the first sweat float studio where you float in pods. And that was very early on this trend, maybe 10 years ago. And she's expanded into a bunch of locations and didn't have a background in it and figured it out. And if you're in a place, especially in a place like Nashville, you can offer trends that are emerging. And I think it's a really great opportunity. I've seen a lot of people be very successful in it. So wellness has really changed my life. For me personally, I found the right diet that matched my body type. I'm on a Mediterranean diet. Some people do keto, some people can fast. I personally can't. I have to have carbs. I have to eat all day. So getting on the right diet for me and getting on the exercise program of 10,000 steps and making sure I'm stretching every night and lifting weights totally changed my life. And that's why I really wanted to make sure that people feel good and are living well in my developments, and why I think this wellness trend is here to stay and will continue to expand if you can incorporate it into your real estate investments. I hope this was helpful. I really think wellness is an asset class to watch, whether it be spas, med spas, exercise, incorporating wellness into commercial real estate. So if you want to know how I incorporated wellness into my projects, please watch this next video on our brand, The Modernist.